Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Monday, August 11th, 2025, and today's topic is going to be practicing line work. But before we begin, welcome back if you're returning and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day and I use a timer to stay focused and to build a habit. And this will be week 2 of the 4-week commitment to sketching, which I'll post a link to in the description. But yeah, we're on Monday. But yeah, there's more detail in, well, all of last week's videos. I mean, I'll kind of mention it. But for today, you can use this to do the 4-week commitment to sketching or just as an idea, and it might be a deep dive. I'll probably have more ideas after the video. So just to get warmed up and to kind of get started and to go over what I'm thinking about here, like with the line work, there's pretty much like an infinite kind of way to approach things. Part of it, for example, is there's different types of lines. So you've got shorter lines. So part of this was because of the cross-hatching that I did in the past several videos. So for example, when you're cross-hatching, there's this kind of thing. And then when you group them together, it's sort of a line, like also. So the length of the line until you get to like points right here. That is kind of like a line. And so we're talking about like line quality. What makes something look good? A lot of this has to do with penmanship, I guess. Many years ago, I worked through that one book. It's pretty famous. It's the Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. I think there was a section that talked about penmanship and I just skipped it. I just thought whatever, but it actually is legitimate. Like it's basically penmanship. So it's like writing. So this might be kind of an overview, kind of different kinds of lines. So for example, I wouldn't think about proportion or anything like that. We can get to that. For now, for example, there's the straight line. So there's different ways to draw the line. So you can do one where you go outwards. So if I'm left-handed, so I'm going to go from right to left. Yeah, right-handed would be left to right. So like a straight line, steady. So I lift it up right there. So I'm just going to look at that line and then just keep steady pressure. So I just held down the same amount of pressure. You can lift off. So, oops, kind of like this. You can make it shorter. But anyway, like that's just horizontal, I guess. You can turn it to get the vertical, but just by turning it. I mean, there's a look to that. That's probably a more like kind of smoother look, for lack of a better term. Like it's easier for me to do that. And it'll never be exactly as straight consistently as using a straight edge. That's okay. It's part of the look of it. And then you can always go in and use a straight edge if you want. There's also the kind of, if you don't want to turn the page, you can also just do this. You can use your whole arm if you want. So these are straight lines basically. And then these are like different lengths of lines, but they're still lines. The next thing would be, so this is good for, obviously I draw like castles and stuff. So like, yeah, obviously architectural stuff, bricks. So it's just kind of something to think about, or like, yeah, like horizontal sort of horizon type stuff. The next thing would be wavy lines. So wavy lines are kind of good for like hills and waves, hence the name. Well, first, before we even get to that, wavy lines kind of have, so this is straight lines, and so there's different lengths like we established. So you might want to practice this, just kind of diminishing it like this. So these are just different lengths. Next is curve. So the next kind is like a curve line. So a curve line is obviously like a circle. So for example, I'm just going outwards until you get to like the dots again. So circle is basically curved, and then you can have different types of curves, and then you can have that, like an S curve. So these are curves, kind of like this. So these are good for like waves, for example. So you might want to practice that. Finally, just to kind of wrap up this video, is like zigzag kind of lines. So like sharp or angular lines. This. These are shapes because if you connect the lines, they make shapes. So for example, straight lines are squares. They're rectangles. So that's what straight lines are good for. Curved are like the circles. So ellipses. The curved lines make up those shapes. The angular lines make up the triangle shapes. Or like star type shapes. So those are angular. And then you can use them, just to kind of wrap it up real quick here. So for example, mountains kind of lend themselves to the jaggedy shapes, kind of like this. So you can draw like a mountain range. And then when you're drawing clouds, a lot of times you'll have straight lines like beneath the clouds. But then you'll have the curvy lines for like the cloud itself. So these are just curvy lines. And then we'll get into like shading and stuff. Yeah, I'll just kind of use this to kind of keep going with this idea. I mean, you can use like the cross-hatching stuff that I was talking about. Let me mark off that we did Monday is complete for week 2. But yeah, thanks for joining me for our daily sketching routine. And if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it. And until next time, keep on sketching.